Hi y'all, my name is Lucian Ward, SPLE, and I have a humble opinion that the world's gonna find controversial, but I feel like it needs to be said as a Christian, as a not I don't know, just as a person who believes God is real, and Christian who believes God is real and that He has good plans for everybody. And my theory is that that gayness is actually designed to keep us from our future husbands and our future wives. And give me a minute here to explain my side and why I feel like this, and is not to force anybody on this opinion. I just want people to hear me out and what I have to say. Because I used to feel like I was a little gay, okay, and a little bisexual, and I understand the need for people to find community in this world, especially in a lot of people find solace in the LGBTQ community. They find solace in being transgender and being gay or in being, in a group of people who are gay. And, it's, to be honest, it's, like it's, I feel like it's resulted in a lot of missed opportunities between people. And, I see it a lot, the gay guy with his gay girlfriend, girlfriend, you know, and they actually look really hot together. They look really cute together, but they're both gay. And it's like, I mean, why? Oh no, I get it. I know. I understand. Because I'm also a person who used to have those feelings, towards men, and I still do, and I still struggle with it. But I'm straight, you know. But I feel like Satan wants me to be gay because if I was gay, then is like zero chance of me meeting my future wife, and zero chance of my kids, my real biological kids, being born. And the thing is, this world we enjoy feeling unique, we enjoy feeling special, and we enjoy feeling like there's something special about us, which is okay. That's an okay thing. I'm not going against that. If anything, God did make us all unique as people. We're all made in the image of God, and we're all made completely unique. There's no one who looks exactly like me, and there's no one who looks exactly like the guy on the street or the girl on the street. No one looks exactly the same. You might find a doppelganger, but I promise you, even then, you can see like one thing that's different about him, right? But in my humble opinion, man, this is just an opinion, but I feel like, and to be honest, it could be facts too. But I feel like Satan is trying to get us to use our insecurities and our depression to keep us stagnant. To keep us in a place that's, you know, to keep us in a place where we don't, like want to even find a girl because we as we as gay people feel like the world, you feel like you're not gonna find a girl that's attractive, or or that not attractive, but like you're sexually compatible with. We feel like the world struggles with. I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, everyone just wants companionship, and everyone wants to be with somebody who loves them and respects them for who they are. And to be honest, society kind of fucks that shit up for us, because society wants, society, we tend to overemphasize this idea of like, you know, like you gotta be tough all the time, and you gotta disrespect women because that's cool, and you gotta disrespect men, and to be honest, all that's really done for us is make us feel like the other side is a bunch of assholes, and like, and I know, like, I mean, the story goes, I mean, like, we all have horrible people who treated us horrible in our lives, especially when it comes to men treating women like ass and women treating men like ass. Everyone can name at least one toxic person. Everyone can name at least one toxic person, and they're gonna try to silence me, which is why things are gonna get loud around me. But I don't care. I just need to say the truth, man, because I had a girl I had a serious crush on, and it kind of hurts that she feels more comfortable around women. and I can't force her. I can't blame her for anything, and I'm not, but the fact is, that this girl in particular, she was treated as by a lot of men, who just wanted her for either her body or something that she could give to them, and or something, and just she never found solace in these men because these men treated her like ass. And one even sexually assaulted her, and I feel horrible because that dude used to be my friend, and I really renounced his ass for even doing that to her because it really should have been me, so I wouldn't have done that because I wouldn't have done that to her. But it's once that pain happens to us, it's kind of hard for us to accept that there is a guy out there like me, who actually does respect women and actually wants women to feel loved. I want women to feel loved. I want women to feel safe around men. The fact is that a lot of LGBTQ girls, they don't feel safe around men, and it's really horrible because you should feel safe around men. You know, if you guys have never felt safe around around a man, then hi, I'm SPLE, man. I'm Lucian Ward. My name means Lightbringer, and you should have felt safe around a man. Like, and I'd be glad to be you guys' safe space. This is a safe space for all LGBTQ people and everyone who exists and loves and lives, man. But at the end of the day, I do also want to speak the truth because I feel like, in my humble opinion, I would have genuinely been that man for her. And I would have actually treated her well and with respect, and I don't get angry, unless, like, I mean, no one's perfect, I get a little angry maybe, but I'm not, the type of guy to, like, start hitting a girl or some shit or slapping her or whatever, or like, talking shit or something because a girl doesn't want to have sex with me or because a girl doesn't, like me or some shit. Like, I feel like men should just have accountability and integrity and responsibility and patience enough, to like be like, oh, okay, cool. If you don't want to have sex, then that's perfectly fine. Men should be like that. That if you don't want to have sex, then that's perfectly fine. And to be honest, that's how God made men. Men weren't created to be brutes. We weren't created to be wrathful. If anything, we were created to be warriors. But even warriors respect women. So I feel like society puts way too much of this emphasis. I feel like society has a vendetta against men, which is why they want to make it really loud and obnoxious for me when I'm trying to speak the truth here. I feel like there's a vendetta against men, and and demons are real too, and they're attacking me, and I don't know what, man. I digress. But like, I feel like every time I try to speak the truth, I get silenced, and I'm not gonna let myself be silenced anymore, man. I feel like women should have loved, you know, women should have been loved by men, and men should have been loved by women, and that's my, I feel like that in my opinion. I feel like there's a version of society where men love women and where women love men, and we treat each other with respect, because we deserve respect. No one's perfect. I promise you, you can name at least one good guy in your life, one good girl in your life. You can name at least one toxic guy in your life. You can name at least one toxic girl in your life. It doesn't mean that all men are toxic. It doesn't mean that all women are toxic. It means there's, it means, it means fuck him. I don't know, like it means those people don't deserve you in their life. But that doesn't negate the fact that there is good men and women in this world. And not even just that, but there are women who will respect a man even if the man's a little feminine, and there are men out there who will respect a woman even if she's a little masculine. If anything, I liked tomboys, man, or girls who are somewhat masculine. And I feel like in my, I genuinely feel like God made us in a spectrum. Like there is still a spectrum to men and women. Like, but I feel like it's just men and women. I don't believe in other genders, in 1,000 different genders, because at the end of the day, expression and feeling were created by God, and I feel like God made us male and female, and females have certain expressions that they might feel inclined to feel like, and men have certain qualities as well that they might feel inclined to feel like, like, I'm a pretty skinny guy, man. Just because I'm a man doesn't mean I go out lifting weights and drinking creatine and working out and shit, and fucking, and like, and saying fuck women and all that shit. It's like I'm not that kind of guy, and I feel like men should have never been like that. If anything, soft men are a good thing, you know, and or men who can be soft and also hard, and also just, like a man who can not only protect you and hurt someone if needed, if they're wicked, but can also love you, and can also respect you and respect your time, and he can also respect your love and your boundaries and all of that. Men should have boundaries just like women should have boundaries. And I feel like the this the entire LGBTQ community, it kind of, and forgive me if this is controversial, but I feel like it kind of stemmed from a lack of boundaries. Because to be honest, as a straight guy, I really don't like men looking at my ass. And I know women don't like men looking at their asses too, but it's like, and I don't know about men and women looking at their dicks, but I'm pretty sure it's weird to everybody. Like, I don't think anybody likes being looked at as a sex object, and that includes men. It's not just women. Like, men don't like that either. And there are women who I've met who have been creepy and have lacked boundaries. Like, I've met women like that, man, who want to be on my. Like, I've had a girl just straight up ask for my cock, and I'm like, forgive me for the language, but it's like, seriously, that's the way she said it. And I was like, man, I have dignity, I have respect, I have value. I as a man don't want a girl going out to me like that. So I get how women feel, but my argument is that not all men are like that, man. And I know it's not all men and not all women, but I promise you guys, Satan wants you guys to be divided about this shit. Because the reality is that I love women, man, and I'm not going to go and disrespect a woman because she won't give me her vagina. It's like, I'm like, that's not me, and that shouldn't be meant to begin with. If they are, then they're toxic, and that's a toxic man. That doesn't mean that because of one toxic guy that all the other guys, me included, are toxic as well. It's like this, like, I feel like it's a very unfair argument to men, and it's a very unfair argument to women too. Especially if we flipped it around, like, it would be very unfair to women. It's like to say, like, oh, one girl was toxic to me, so therefore all women are toxic. It's like, no, right? You disagree, right? And it's like I'm pretty sure most people would agree that there are nice people in this world, and if they don't, then it's because of pessimism, and because I am that guy. I literally am. I am a guy who, if anything, would, like, I used to suck up to women sometimes, and like, because I wanted them to love me, and it's like, and even when those women didn't love me, and it's like, I don't know, like, at the end of the day, both men and women are deserving of a little bit of basic human respect, and I feel like that's gone in this world nowadays. But that doesn't mean we can't start with us, Start with the man in the mirror, start with the woman in the mirror, and it's like, then it goes from there, But I feel like the world has been way too hyper focused on, women's supremacy, or like male supremacy. Is like, no, how about no one's supremacy? How about God's supremacy? How about God made us to love us and to protect us, and to protect us from these people, and God will, especially if you pray to Him. Like once, I feel like a lot of horrible things that happen to men and women are because we're not in God's protection. And it's not because God doesn't like us, He loves us. But when we don't pray to God, and that's getting into another topic, but, like, God has protection and we have to accept it, though, Like, when you're not under God, you're under this dark veil that this world is in, and it's like Pandora's box out there. I keep saying that it's because it's real, Like, like, I do have temptations to be gay at times, and I'm straight, but it doesn't mean that I'm gonna let that get to me, because at the end of the day, I want to meet my wife, and I don't know who she is yet, but at the same time, it doesn't, Satan doesn't want me to meet her because he knows that I would show men and women that women can be loved properly, you know, and like, I get angry. I'm not perfect, I have, I get angry here and there, I get frustrated, when things, like, don't always go right, I struggle with my patience, and I struggle with wisdom and not choosing wrath, and stuff, like men, but like, men at the end of the day, they don't need all this manly shit, man. They need love, man, because I promise you, if you gave one of these manly dudes just a hug and no judgment, and just like hugged him and like showed him that love is real, then I promise you, like, and actually prove to him that love is real, and if the guy is optimistic enough, like, I promise you, man, that man would burst into tears because he's never felt that love kind before, some men have never felt the touch of a woman, and a real woman, like some men have gotten slapped and hit by women before they felt the love of a woman, so you can't go out and say that all women are goddesses and everything, because there are plenty toxic women out there who have slapped and hit men and have done shit, and it wasn't the man's fault always, and I'm not saying it's always, not all men, not all women, but like, seriously, like, good men exist, and so do good women exist. And I know because I'm a good man, and I've been around good women, and I've had conversations with women without having to slap and hit them and talk shit about them. It's like, I would never talk shit about a woman just cause. And if people do that just cause, it's cause they're toxic, man, and they grew up in a toxic household, or some more toxic, and the cycle got passed down onto them. We all have trauma, we all have traumatic cycles, we all have toxic cycles and things that we have to break in this life, and generational curses to break. But it doesn't mean that all men are toxic, and it doesn't mean that all women are toxic. I feel like Satan's plan is he wants us to be gay. He wants us to be, homosexual and to be lesbian, so that one, we start hating men, and two, we start hating women, and three, we start dividing ourselves against each other. Like, I feel like that's all, like, the only place this is ending, because you guys definitely have hatred for men, and you can't deny it. And you definitely have hatred for women, and you can't deny it either, guys, because I promise you, like, we've all been hurt sometimes, and sometimes it's hard to forgive these people for what they've done, man. I've been on the girl's hook for 7 years straight, man, with no contact. She blocked me all the time, constantly, and eventually it made me want to hate women. And I feel like some people take that a step further, and I don't hate women, but I feel like some people take it a step further instead, and they start hitting all women, and they start hitting all men, and all everything. But it's like, at the end of the day, God made Adam and Eve for a reason, to procreate and to multiply and have kids. And people might not believe it, but if you think hard enough about it, like, God is a perfect God, a sovereign God, a most high, almighty God. He's perfect, literally. If God exists, then he would be completely perfect, right? Like, why would God be imperfect? If God was imperfect, he wouldn't be able to make the world and manage 8 billion people at the same time, but he does. And retribution is still a thing, karma is still a thing. The laws of attraction is still a thing. The laws of coolness exchange still a thing, but God rules the world. God makes these things happen because God is God, and he's a loving, good God. And I promise you, man, like, I mean, if God is perfect, then God is capable of making Adam and Eve and making an entire 8 billion people out of 2 people. Only God can do that, because God is perfect. A man definitely can't do that. A woman definitely can't do that, but God is not man that he should lie. And God isn't a man. He's not a woman either. God is a personal being. God is a God. He's not a man or a woman. He's a God, a perfect God, who could make 8 billion people out of 2 people. He made them all out of Adam, out of one person. It's like, it makes sense to me that you make one sketch, and then you multiply the sketch, and then you make more sketches and drawings. It's like just like anyone else creates things, multiplication. Like, God is a God of multiplication. And so I feel like the original design of the world is that men were created to love women, because guess what? I will consider my wife as my missing rib. The woman who is meant to be there for me. And let me correct this one piece as well. God says in the Bible that women were made as helpers. It doesn't mean that women were made as slaves. That's not what God says in there. The original word, I don't know the original Hebrew Greek word for that they said in there, but I know the meaning of the word. God created women not just as helpers, but as in, like, a man's help, as in a man needs help. You know, God knew that God didn't make women to be slaves, man. If anything, the Bible says, husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church. Husbands, love your wife as you love yourself, because she is part of your flesh. You two shall get married, and you do become one flesh. And in the in you know And people don't believe in an ideal world, but with God, things can be way more ideal than we think it can be. And I'm gonna be the proof of that once I find my wife, because I promise you, man, we'll fight, we'll have our arguments and stuff, but it won't get in between us loving each other. Because guess what? Especially if you put God in the middle, it's easy. It gets way easier because then you can go to God instead of them. And God can help you solve these things. Instead of clinging to your husband and your wife, even when you're in pain. Like that's how fights and things happen in toxic relationships. And then women start feeling like they're too independent, and they start getting prideful. They start feeling like, oh, I don't need a man, and then men start doing the same thing. I don't need a woman. And that's how destruction happens, man. That's big stepping towards destruction. You feel me? It's like we're on a path to destruction like that because men need women and women need men. Not because women are weak, not because men are weak, but because it was made that way. You know what I mean? Like God made humans and He created humans as male and female, and that's not it. And that shouldn't be an offensive thing. And that shouldn't be an offensive thing, man. It shouldn't be offensive to say that. Because like at the end of the day, man, there's multiple species out there, like God made them different with different genders and stuff, but there are still species out there made as male and female. And to be honest, once we start talking about like the different genders, and 1,000 genders and stuff, I feel like at the end of the day, like these expressions that we feel are ultimately just like mixes and amalgamations of male and female. Like if we're looking at it from a totally like biblical binary standpoint, then like, which I'm not even saying it is binary, but like God made men with female qualities. God made women with male qualities. You know, that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be a standard. Like a lot of men like to work out and like heavier than some women. A lot of women like to work out lighter than some men, and some women work out heavier than some men. Some men work out less than some women. And God made it that way. It's balance. That means there's balance in the world, man. And that's how it should be, because at the end of the day, like, women are women and men are men, and we all feel different things in different ways. And women tend to be more, emotional than men do. They tend to. It doesn't mean it's all of them, but they tend to be more emotional, and men tend to be more logical. Which is why some men have struggle, they struggle with their feelings and be like, oh, I don't want to be in my feelings. And some women are like, but I don't want to think logically. He's him, or, like, that's him, or that's the person, or that's my feelings. My feelings are leading me towards this. And God designed it that way. God designed it because there needed to be a duality between us. And to be honest, there is a duality between men and women. There is a synergy between us that we can't get from male and male and a woman and a woman. It's like you can't get the same feelings from MLM and WLW, like women love women, men love men. Like you can get similar feelings, but it's not going to be the same, because a man has a dick and a woman has a vagina. And I mean, like, and they were designed to have tension between that, and they're designed to have energy between that, and an exchange that, you know, sex at the end of the day, it's an exchange of masculine and feminine energies, and it's supposed to be that way. It doesn't mean that all men are masculine. It doesn't mean that all females are feminine, but men are men biologically, and women are women biologically, which is why you literally can't escape biological female like genders. Like, damn it. But like this, it's literally why you can't escape biological genders. Like we can't get rid of biological genders because science needs that. And there's no such thing as a third genitalia. And if there is, it's created from looking at a dick and a vagina and trying to make something alien, and unique. But we can't do it. We can't like at the end of the day, everything that we ever have made is, plug and plug in. It's like there's nothing else other than that. It's like there's no me going around and inside out and like freaking, like there's nothing. It's in or out, and it's like there's no other genitalia idea that we could come up with that's gonna be better than God's design for male and female, and I just have to stand by that because to be honest, man, a lot of you gay guys, you probably have a wife out there who's probably a little masculine, and she's waiting for you to find her. And you guys would click just like that. And lesbians, you guys probably have a man out there who's a little feminine. And I am a little feminine. I'm not afraid to say that, but I'm also a man. Prince wore high heels, man, but it doesn't mean that Prince was a female. It means he liked wearing high heels. And some guys might be like, "Oh, that's androgynous," or it's feminine. He should have been female. It's like, no, like Prince was fine with his masculinity. He accepted and he embraced his masculinity. We should all embrace our masculinity and our femininity, man. At the end of the day, and I embrace my masculinity. I'm fine being a male. Even though they try to tempt me into being, like female, male to female, or like being transgender, or gay or bisexual even. It's never gonna take away the fact, that like I'm still a man with a penis, a dick. It's like and I don't know. At the end of the day, like I'm only saying it bluntly because it has to be said bluntly, kind of sometimes, man. Like, because the world is in a lot of turmoil right now over this and confusion, and I feel like I might not have every answer, but I can at least say my insights on it. It's like I'm a feminine man, but it doesn't mean that I want to be female. If anything, females have their own like things that we should commend them for as men. They have to go through labor pains. They have to go through these things that happen because of sin. They have to feel more emotions than men and things that like as consequences of sin. It wasn't necessarily anyone's fault, but we can't stop. We can't change what Eve did. We can't change what Adam did. And you guys, whether you believe Adam and Eve or not, it's like, to me, it makes a lot of sense, man, that God made two people and made 8 billion people out of them, because God controls DNA. He can control whether we have birth defects or not, and like, and it's like God can make a perfect human if he want like to, but like God can't even do that anymore because the world is tainted. No one's perfect. But that's why the new heaven and earth is coming, and why God is going to eventually destroy this earth and the wicked, and he will replace it with a new earth that's better, where we won't have to deal with these things and suffer, because God will start over again. The only reason God didn't start over again is because we would all die, and we would all be left behind. Like, he can't just remake us. Like, I mean, like I don't see why God would do that. Even if he made a second Martin Ward, it wouldn't be me. It would be a second version, or like it would be like an alternate universe, and the real me still existed, and he died because God wanted perfection. But God doesn't need perfection from anybody, for that matter, man. Men were made men, and some men were made with feminine qualities. Females are made females, and some females have male qualities. And God made it that way so that there would be a balance in the world, It doesn't mean that I'm female. It doesn't mean that anyone, it doesn't mean that you're male, It might mean that you're a female with masculine qualities, and to be honest, I feel like that's way easier to embrace than embracing the fact that society hates us. Like, why force yourself to deal with oppression, man? Why force yourself into dealing with oppression when you can accept your identity as God made it? Because God made you, he loves you just the way you are, man. He loved your female body, he loved your male body, and the way it is, like no one's ever too late. It's never too late, no matter what we've done to our bodies or how much has happened or what has happened. We can always feel like, we can always accept who we are, and I feel like I had to accept who I am. i might I might be attracted to men at times, but it doesn't mean that I'm gay, and I don't want to be gay, and it doesn't mean that like and it doesn't mean that I'm transgender either. It means that I'm a man with feminine qualities, and I can appreciate a man, maybe. And God appreciates that. That's cool. God made men handsome too. Like look at a man, but don't look at him with like trying to fuck him. I don't know. It's like there's a line. Boundaries are still they still apply to everything. It's like to be honest, I don't feel like anybody is comfortable having gay sex or lesbian sex, and I feel like if you are, then it's because of your flesh, and the feelings coming from our dicks and vaginas. You know, it's not because it's meant to be. You know, otherwise there wouldn't have been HIV, there wouldn't have been AIDS, there wouldn't have been, like anal tears and shit, and like if God made it, if God made it that way, then He made us to complement each other. He made us to fit into each other on purpose. He like dudes, He literally made you a pocket for your dick. And girls, like, he made the vagina to be filled up. You know, it's like, and not by a piece of plastic, by real skin, by real flesh. You know, and it's like I'm sorry if it's uncomfortable, but the world makes it uncomfortable for us, man. And I feel like, there's nothing wrong with us having attraction to the same gender or anything, but it's when we start neglecting the fact that we're husbands made for wives and wives made for husbands, that it starts getting dangerous. Because if all men were gay, I'm not saying we are, but it can happen eventually at some point. You know, if 99% of men were gay and 99% of women were lesbians, the world would cease to exist completely. You know, like the 1% would not be enough. Like, we would all die out, and there'd be like 3 people. You know, like, it would eventually turn into apocalypse. You know, and I feel like that's what Satan wants us to be like. He wants us to be divided and feel like men are better than women or women are better than men. And it's like, no, we're humans at the end of the day, man. We're all human beings made in the image of God and made to create things, you know, and like, we're not, like, I'm not gonna sit here and condone and be like, like it makes me sad to see us being gay sometimes and lesbian, because I imagine you guys have wives, guys, and you girls have husbands. And she might, like, just cause you feel like a dick is disgusting or a vagina is disgusting doesn't mean that God hasn't made a guy out there who will make you feel more comfortable with it. You know, like there is a guy out there who will make you feel comfortable with it, and it's, it's because sex is supposed to be pleasurable, and if it's not pleasurable, it's because it's with the wrong person. You know, it's not because we're meant to be gay or we're meant to be lesbian. You know, it's like, I don't think that's our true colors. You know, because at the end of the day, it's like, like, I can be attracted to a man, but I'm not gonna want to risk my entire life with AIDS because of a man. You know, I'm not gonna want to freaking have to deal with poop all over my fucking dick because I wanna smash a man. You know, it's like, I don't care how clean how many times you clean your ass. Like, it's gonna be a problem to me. You know, and girls having a scissor and like rub up against each other, it feels wrong to me, because it's like, dude, I got a dick and that shit will have you satisfied if you use it right. You know what I mean? It's like men. You know, if a man doesn't satisfy you, maybe you should have learned to use his dick better. I'm just saying. And same for a girl. It's like, sex should be enjoyable. We're made for each other, man. And I just feel like there should be equality between each of us. And men love women, women love men. Man, my laptop's running out of batteries, but I feel like that's the way God made us. And if you guys have an opinion, please put it in the comments. My name's SPELI, and I love you guys, man. God bless you all. And search for your wives, man. Search for your husbands, because they're out there. And you guys, they're probably waiting for you guys. Love is love. Love wins. And this is love. It's telling you guys, love wins. I love you guys. God bless you all. God loves you. Jesus loves you. Have a great day.